I'm even fair, and with all my critique of Putin and so on, it's very sad that we left to Putin this option of, you know, Snowden, Assange. I mean, for me, it's always Ukraine and Assange. The worst thing to do is to say, now, the big danger is Russian imperialism, so let's forget about Assange and so on and so on. The reason I support Assange is not so much those all, the early WikiLeaks documents. It's much more, I think Assange's key work is, you know that he wrote a book which is much more subversive and passed, not quite, but more or less unnoticed. He wrote a book on Google, where he defined Google as a private version of NSA, National Security Agency. And the message of Assange for me is, today, in the West, and that's how also Assange answered the reproach, but there is dictatorship in China, in other parts, why do you focus on the United States? And I took it from him, a very intelligent answer. He says, the good thing, ironically, about China, Russia, is that their oppression is felt. You know, nobody has the illusion of that there is no state oppression. While the dangerous thing in the West is that, as I use always this formula, as I put it somewhere, the most dangerous form of unfreedom is unfreedom which you even experience as freedom. What is more free than to surf around the web, blah, 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 but you're already totally controlled there, and so on and so on. This is, I think, his basic message, and it's totally irrational what is happening. I mean, Assange is a little bit dry legal guy, but he has wonderful, he didn't lose his spirit, I will put it like this, you know. The last time I met him, at that time, the incident with coffee in prison, you think we talked about freedom. No, we talked about new TV series. This was wonderful. We talked about you know that how was it? That series based on Philip Dick novels, Man in the High Castle. He gave me a wonderful reading that the alternate version, where it happened the way it happened, is not simply the truth. That it's another, and that how there is a third totally repressed absent point of reference. I will not go into it, but I like this so much that in spite of this horrible situation, because the authorities, British authorities, brutally used the pandemic to put him in an impossible, for example, when he married in prison, it had to be done through a glass, but it's a scandal. A week before, a big mafioso serial killer got married in prison, and they were given a big room, 30 guests, and so on and so on. I mean, it's totally, and also the whole legal base, you know. Sorry, he is not an American citizen. Under what conditions can he be accused, can he be brought to court for breaking American laws and so on? I mean, it's such a scandal, and especially in these days, today, we should bear in mind that. And he also told me the entire story of Snowden. That Snowden, I forgot his name. Sorry? Yeah. You know, because he was engaged in it. You know, Snowden did not choose Russia. You remember 10 or how many years ago? He was stuck in Hong Kong. China said, okay, he can stay. They didn't want trouble with United States, and China said, okay. 2 weeks they gave him there, and then they said he has to go. And Assange told me he and his friends were desperately looking for another place. First, it was Latin America. There were some transport problems. It wasn't possible. Then they turned to Europe, and all these freedom-loving European countries, France, Sweden, and so on, no, nobody wanted him. That's why he doesn't even like. He is almost courageous when in an interview some 2-3 years ago, Snowden said openly, I know they manipulate me, I don't like to be here in Russia, I would like to move to a European country. I mean, it was all so humiliating. So again, precisely in this euphoria for Ukraine, and I'm pro-Ukrainian, we should not forget about this other side. How, we have enough blood on our own hands. It's so crucial. What I am just afraid is that how Ukrainian war is now exploited to forget about that, to justify all that. And this is what really makes me sad. There are even some, I'm for Ukraine, but also when it's needed, critical towards Ukraine. At least 2-3 things. First, and this is something shameful for the West, that the West is already imposing on Ukrainians their own neoliberal economic model, and Ukrainians were aware of it. They tried to block it. For example, you know that over 1/3 of the best, and they have the best earth, that black earth, is already owned by foreign agricultural conglomerates, big companies. So they are already brutally imposing on Ukraine a neoliberal model. The other thing which is horrible is that it shocked many leftist friends of Ukraine that one of the people around Zelensky, not Zelensky himself, protested when, you remember, the last Nobel Peace Prize. It was given to some Ukrainian humanitarian charity agency and to some Belarusian and Russian. And Ukrainian idiots close to Zelensky, to the top, protested, claiming, yeah, they protested, but they didn't achieve anything. So isn't it a shame that citizens of a country which is now attacking Ukraine got the Nobel Prize? This is, for me, madness. They want to stigmatize Russia as such, and I warn them, they are talking the same language as Russia. Instead of saying Putin doesn't really stand for what's best in the Russian people, we are fighting universal fight, they are repeating from the other side this Alexander Dugin and Russian bullshit about how it's Russian truth versus European truth. The moment we say this, we are lost, I think. So it's very, very, very sad. I think we have to take care of this. The most dangerous thing now is to say everything is subordinated to Russia, to beating the Russians, so forget about all other things and so on.